today, I think we're live now. All right. So today we are going to talk about you becoming a test subject. As weird as that sounds, welcome to the Leading Life podcast.
Welcome to Leading Life, the show all about living to the fullest and leading life on your terms.
You will learn tips, tools, and strategies for achieving total personal transformation.
I'm Bren.
And I'm Cam.
This is Leading Life.
What up, what up, what up, what up, what up? Welcome to the Leading Life podcast. Welcome back. I hope you're having an amazing Monday. I hope you've enjoyed your day. Today, I did an experiment. And, within the past few days, I have been, on YouTube trying to learn, obviously, as always. But I came across this YouTube channel, this guy, of just him trying things, experimenting with certain habits like meditation, like cold showers, like smiling, random acts of kindness, like certain things like that, just random experiments, cold showers. Did I already say that? Anyways, he is just trying things. He's become a test subject, and that is what we're going to talk about. That's what we're going to talk about today. But before we get into it, brother, what are you doing, Holmes?
My bruv, Cam, man, I'm doing pretty great. I had an amazing weekend, Friday night or Thursday night, it was Wednesday. I had my friend Joel come over unexpected, and then he threw a dance party in my living room. And I don't dance, okay? It's not something I do. But I tried it, I thought, hey, whatever, I'm just gonna dance, I'm just gonna have a good time. And I had an amazing time. It was so much fun. And then Friday night, I played a show, and then I had some friends come over after, and we danced and sang karaoke and crazy stuff. And then Saturday I performed a gig on a hayride, a drunken hayride. It was actually it was so much fun. It was just shaking all over the place. I got pictures on Facebook and stuff. Yeah, man, it was a damn blast. So yeah, what have you been up to?
I have been up to music, as always, but recently I've been a test subject. I've been trying things in my life, trying different habits, and seeing what kind of results I get. And I used to do that a lot, man. I used to look up videos of people day 7 of fasting or something. How do they feel? What are their results? And you can look at somebody else all day long and try to find their results. But once you actually feel the results for yourself, that's when you're going to make it a habit. So do you have any experience with this, bro, where you found out something was healthy or something was good for you, something would help you with your goals, and you're just you know what, why not? Let's try it. Let's test this new habit or whatever.
Dude, all the time. That's one of my favorite things to do. It's just experiment with different things. Just try new things. Become something different. Try something different. For example, cold showers. My whole life I always took steaming hot showers. Just almost it hurts to get in the shower. It sucks. But for the past couple months I've been doing strictly cold showers. And the reason I'm doing this is because the health benefits are abundant. It helps repair your muscles. It helps release endorphins and all sorts of stuff. So you come out of the shower feeling super good. It makes you laugh. It's good for your skin. There's so many great benefits to it. The only thing is it's uncomfortable. So once you kind of get over that, it's like exercise, right? Everybody knows it's good to exercise, but it's uncomfortable, so most of us don't do it. Everybody knows it's really good to eat healthy, but it's uncomfortable, so most of us don't do it. So yeah, man, I love thinking of myself as kind of a test subject. Before I tell myself, okay, I'm going to commit to this and I'm going to commit to doing this for the rest of my life, I usually just say, okay, let me experiment, let me try something. So yeah, man, I'm excited to get into this topic.
Totally. So in this episode, we're going to talk about habit forming, willpower, and just overall the desire to become your greatest version. Because that's why we're experimenting. And at the end of the day, it's is this going to make me a better person? Okay, let's try it. You're not going to experiment it's not an experimentation. Oh, this will be fun. Let's try this new food. Let's try this new drink. No, this is the type of experimenting where you are trying something that will change you and your life in general. Because what Tony Robbins says, everything is a cause set in motion. And I remember I had like this epiphany. It was very simple, but like I sat on the bus and I was like, what if I didn't bring my skateboard today? What would my day be like? You know, would it be different? Like, would my life be different? Would just that one simple thing of bringing my skateboard to school that day completely change my life? And you've probably even thought of this. Like, what if one small thing was different? Like, as an example, I left the house 2 minutes later than I did, and I didn't get the green lights that I did, so that I was like 5 minutes later to the place I was going to, and my life's completely different because of it. Who knows? Like, that's why every single thing you do affects the future. And that's why I love the core belief, the past does not equal the future, because that just means that like the past does not affect the future, only today affects the future. Obviously, the past affects what's going on today, but what you do today will affect the future, and that's what we're going to talk about. So
yeah, man, I would add, I think it's not the past does not affect the future. I think your perception of the past can affect the future. So that's important.
Absolutely, dude. Like learned helplessness. Like they took, I mean, I don't condone this study, but they took puppies, they put them in a cage for like months or something like that, something crazy. And they would try their best, like the top of the cage wasn't there. Or sorry, no. They basically put them in a closed cage and then kept them there for months. They tried to get out for months, but they couldn't. And then later on, they took the top of the thing off. The puppies could have easily jumped out, but they were so helpless from the past. They were just like thinking about the past, and they were only focusing on what's happened in the past, so they didn't even try to get out. I think every single day you should try your best to get better. No matter what happened in the past, keep trying. So
yeah, man, that reminds me of like, it's like the study with the elephants. It's like you have an elephant who's tied to a chain and tied to a pin in the ground, right? And this elephant, you know, from a young age is taught, hey, I can't move anywhere because it's a small elephant and there's this small chain holding it to the ground. But as the elephant grows older, the elephant can easily break out of that chain, but it doesn't, because its entire life it's realized that, hey, I've tried this before, it's not going to work for me. Or, you know, they just, like you said, learned helplessness. It just gets used to the fact that I can't do it. And that's, I think the opposite is so important. You got to get used to the fact that you can do it, right? Know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Okay, so step one when it comes to all of this is knowledge. Okay, I'm going to be a Ty Lopez and talk about knowledge real quick. Before, like, everybody just, they always learn something first, you know? I learned that meditation is good for your stress or anxiety or whatever. Meditation helps with mental clarity. I learned all these things. People, like I use the example all the time, but everybody knows the vegetables are healthy. Everybody knows that working out will help you lose weight, but no one's taking action, right? So you can learn about meditation, but if you don't do anything, then what are you doing with the knowledge? It's pointless. It's like learning math in high school. How many of you remember the a plus b2 divided by z x y equals whatever the heck? Nobody remembers that, like, at all. None of you. So knowledge is all good, but you need to be doing things with that knowledge. So I wrote knowledge plus action. So obviously you learn about meditation, then you try something. And that's what we're going to talk about. Like, become a test subject. A test subject in the sense of you're trying to create the best version of yourself. You're trying to be the best you can possibly be. Try different things and keep adding on to your character. If meditation doesn't help, like, try it for a week. If it doesn't help, stop doing meditation. You know what I mean? And if running doesn't help you, then stop running. Like, only do things that'll bring you closer to the person you want to be or the life that you want to live.
That's so important, man, because it's like, we're all different. We're all on a different journey. Some things that work for me might not work for you. Like, I remember for the longest time, Cameron, you were really into meditation. Like, you would meditate like 20 minutes a day, 45 minutes a day. Like, sit there for 45 minutes and meditate. Honestly, I don't think I've ever sat there for 45 minutes and meditated. Like, I think the longest meditation I've been in is maybe 40, maybe 30 minutes. I just find it wasn't working for me, right? It's like exercise, right? What works for some people in terms of exercise will not work at all for others. Like running, like maybe you have a problem with your joints and your knees and you can't run. That doesn't mean you can't exercise. It doesn't mean you can't get healthy. It doesn't mean you can't get fit. You can't lose weight. That just means you can't run. Maybe you could swim. Maybe you could try something different, right? And not being so committed to the process, but just be committed to the result. Like my result, whatever it is for you, if it's I want to get healthy, be committed to like, I want to get healthy. I want to lose weight. I want to get fit. I want to feel great. And then the how doesn't really matter as much, because there's so many different directions, different paths you could take to get there. You just need to become a test subject and try different things and figure out what works best for you. Right.
I love how you say you can't sit down for 45 minutes. I did an experiment today, actually, and I'm not comfortable doing an episode on meditation until I do this more. But I sat down for 2 hours and meditated. And I'll tell you, like, it was brutal. It was intense. Like, I felt like a prisoner, like my raging mind that wanted to go do things, my ADD mentality felt like a prisoner. But deep down, I loved it. It was awesome. And when I got out of it, I could not stop smiling. I was smiling for at least 10 minutes just because, I don't know, like it was just there. So that was an experiment for me, trying meditation for 2 straight hours. So I might do that more often. I enjoyed it, so I'm going to do it tomorrow. And if I enjoy it tomorrow, I'm going to do it the next day. And obviously 2 hours is intense, but maybe that can replace 2 hours of sleep. I don't know. I'm going to look into it. Maybe I can sleep 2 hours less and just meditate 2 hours rather than spend that time sleeping. I don't know. We're going to try things.
I like that, because that's so much in alignment with what we're talking about today, being a test subject. Because look, you already made it a habit to meditate on a daily basis. You already meditate consistently, but today you decided, I'm going to meditate different. I'm going to try to meditate longer. I'm going to try a different kind of meditation. I'm going to sit in a different stance or try something different. That's amazing. Yeah,
dude, and like the reason I decided to do it for 2 hours is because Anthony Cheam talks about how he meditates every single morning for 90 minutes. And that guy's crazy. Like he's wild. His energy is all over the place, right? So like I want to be like Anthony Cheam in that regard. So I'm going to try meditating for maybe 20 minutes times 5. That kind of thing. So that is what I did today. That was an experiment. So try some things. If you see parts of your life like you're stressed all the time, try meditating. That helps with stress. If you're tired all the time, try eating foods that give you energy, or try sleeping more. Every day you should be trying something new, basically, like, because who you are today is a result of what you've been doing. And if you don't change anything, if you don't add something in, then it's like you're making a soup and you use the same ingredients. If you don't change up the recipe, then it's never going to taste different. It'll be the same boring old soup for the rest of your life. And that's boring. We want to be our greatest versions, absolutely. And dude, I want you to get obsessed with this too, because for me, the reason I'm so willing to meditate for 2 hours is because, like, if there's like a little tool that I could throw in my tool belt of becoming my greatest version, I'll do it. Like, if there's a little thing that'll help me become the person I want to be, help me get closer to where I want to be, I'll do anything. Like veganism was the best example for me, because I was not educated. All I knew is that it was healthy and I should do it. So within a week I went vegan and I haven't looked back. I started working out, I started meditating, I sold my Xbox, like little things like that. And the reason it was so easy for me is because I'm just obsessed with becoming the greatest version of myself. I'm obsessed with the feeling of like going to bed better than you were when you woke up. That's like my favorite feeling ever, is like I'm going to bed smarter. I'm gonna wake up like happier and closer to my dreams the next day than I did today. That kind of thing.
Cam, you know what? I got something. Like, I love what you said there. How like you didn't know much about going vegan. You didn't know much about the health benefits or what it's all about or why to do it, but you just knew it was healthy. There were people who you looked up to who told you it's healthy. They had evidence and they were vegan and you looked up to them. So you just figured, yeah, sure, I'll try it. Because you're committed to being your best version and you don't even need the evidence. You don't even need to be told why. You just know it's the right thing. So you did it. But there's other people who are just as committed to being their greatest version. They're just as committed to making the best out of their lives, but they get stuck in this pattern where it's like, okay, I'm doing this thing. Maybe it's I'm eating this certain way, I'm exercising this certain way, and it's bringing me a certain level of success. And so because I'm succeeding, I don't want to try anything different now. Do you know what I mean? It's like, because I'm already doing something and it's already brought me a little bit of success, I don't want to jeopardize that by experimenting at all. And this happens with like very successful people. in the world, like the most top successful people, top successful CEOs, top successful athletes, whatever, they all get kind of caught up in this, not all of them, but a lot of them get caught up in this mindset where it's like, okay, I've already succeeded. I can't do anything differently. I need to do the same things because if I try something different, I might not succeed. And so what happens is it could be a good thing for them if they find something. If you find something that really works for you, you got to stick with that and love that. But don't be so rigid in the sense where it's like, okay, I'm not going to try anything else. Like let yourself try something different. Let yourself experiment here or there. Like give yourself some slack in that sense. And I think you'll find that maybe some of the things that you've been doing your entire life that you thought were the right thing, you might find out that, wow, I've been doing this my entire life, but it's actually not getting me anywhere. And you might just find that out because you've experimented with something else, but you need to first experiment, right? Like try going vegan, do it for a week, do it for a month, see how it works. Try going to a different gym or exercising in a different way, or try driving to work in a different way, or thinking a different way, watching a different TV show, listening to a different podcast, experiment with different things. Because if you don't, you'll never know what works and what doesn't work.
Absolutely, dude. And the best example I have for that is a person who's smoking, say they're like in their 30s or something. You're just like, dude, you know you can die when you smoke. And they're just like, you know what? My aunt lived until she was 80 and she smoked her entire life. And like, sure, you lived, but how was your quality of life? Like, you were succeeding, you were alive. That's success in your mind. I'm alive, I'm not dead, I'm successful. But you can still live a life in poor quality, like awful quality. That's what they talk about, how like the life expectancy 10,000 years ago, or not, in the Paleolithic era, I think it's called. The life expectancy back then was like an average of like 30 or something along those lines. But there were older people, and those older people had strong bones. They probably looked like today's 20-year-old. You know what I mean? So it's you can live until you're 90, but also the last 30 years of your life you spent sitting in a wheelchair or something along those lines. So you have to be chasing success. You're never living success. I mean, like, obviously you feel successful because that'll kind of give you a feeling of fulfillment that you're happy right now. But you always want to be chasing more. And I think that's like the main goal. So try things. Like, I'll give you another example of something I tried in the last few days, and I'm eating once a day. So like 1 hour a day, that's my chance to eat. Other than that, I'm drinking water. And I looked at the benefits of fasting, right? I got an intellectual view on what it's like, but I want to feel it for myself. So I'm eating once a day to see how it goes. I'm on day 3. I don't really feel that different, to be honest, but I'm going to keep doing it to see if I feel something different. And it's honestly the big thing that I feel about eating once a day is I get more time. The amount of time people spend like cooking or in the kitchen or thinking about food or whatever, like you don't even need to think. You just know that 1 hour a day I'm eating. The rest I don't have to worry about it. I'm saving so much time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good call, man. That was something I was thinking about recently. Like, what if I just hired somebody to bring all my meals to my house and then I never have to cook or do dishes ever again? It's a thought.
So when it comes to habits, this is like a brain thing that I learned recently. It's basically like when you do a repetition, like if you repeat a task or something, like you play this scale on the guitar, in your brain there are connections, like neural pathways that get connected, and around it is a layer of like this fatty tissue called myelin. And basically what myelin does is it's like lube. It speeds up the neural whatever pathways so that you can do that more quickly without having to use as much brain power. The way they tested this is they had rats go through a maze to find chocolate. And the first time the rat went and did the maze and found the chocolate, the brain power used up was insane. Like there was just so much brain stuff going on. But once the same mouse did it like 50,000 times or 150 times, it went to find the chocolate, it barely used any brain power. It was just like that. Like it didn't even need to think. It knew the maze back and forth. And that's what happens when you build a habit, is like to the point where, I don't know if you guys are used to this, but like you get up and like this is, you know, the average person. They get up, they go for their coffee, they brush their teeth, they go to work, or you know what, even better yet, they get up, they check their phone. Like that's an automatic thing for like most people today, is they get up and they check their phone. And the more you do that repeated action, the more myelin gets all looped up in the neural pathways, and it becomes a quicker, easier task. That's why people get better at guitar. That's why I remember the one guy's quote. He was like, "Practice makes perfect because practice makes myelin." It creates that fatty tissue that helps you create or helps you fulfill tasks faster. So that's the reason I love that is because you can look at what you're doing like you're building a skill. Like the reason I say that is because I love video games, and when you do a repeated action in a video game, you build up points. Think of the stuff in your brain as points. So every time you go to practice guitar for 5 minutes, you're building up this level. The way I think of it also is like when you're reading a book in The Sims or your character is playing guitar, you see this little bar and it just fills up. It's like a skill bar. And that's how you got to think of what you do every single day. And realize that goes with bad habits too. Habits like waking up and checking your phone.
Kim, there's actually, I love how you talked about guitar, because in learning guitar, one of the things they say is practice doesn't make perfect, but perfect practice makes perfect. So if you're practicing guitar and you're just practicing, but you keep making a ton of mistakes, and if you just keep repeating those mistakes, eventually those mistakes will become perfect. You know what I mean? Like those mistakes will become myelin. And as you're practicing, like if you're not practicing perfect, then you're not going to develop perfect habit. If you practice in a sense where you're just making a ton of mistakes, eventually those mistakes will become habit. And that's what happens in our daily life. Like when you wake up and check your phone, right? That becomes a habit. That becomes a program in your mind where it says, okay, I've done this today. I've done this the day before. I've been doing this for the past month, this past year. So your brain doesn't have to think about it anymore, man. It's like, I love using like it just snowed. I love using the analogy of snow, because you walk out into the snow, like clean, pure, like snow, hasn't been stepped on, hasn't been tramped over, nobody stepped in it, right? And you step into this snow and you create a path, you create a track to where you're going. And then once you get there, you need to turn around and go back. Are you gonna create a new path, or are you gonna go walk over the same footsteps? You're probably gonna walk over the footsteps you've just walked through, because that's the easiest way to go, right? It just makes sense. You've already created a path. And the more you go down that same path back and forth, the less snow there is, and the more it becomes trampled down, the easier it becomes to walk that path. And that's why it's so important to make sure that you are going down the proper direction, you're practicing the right way, you're creating the habits and the neural paths that you want in your life, and making that happen consistently.
Absolutely, dude. It goes for like everybody's experiences. Everybody in the comments. If you know the lyrics to a song, you've experienced myelin in your brain. You think less every time you listen to the song because you understand the lyrics. Like it just happens. So the reason I brought this up is because when it comes to being a test subject, sometimes you're gonna want to keep those habits, right? Like I might want to meditate 2 hours a day. As crazy as that sounds, even if I'm sleeping over at a friend's house, I wake up in the middle of the night and I meditate for 2 hours. You know, who knows? This is day one, but I already feel amazing because of it. So there might be times where you want to stick to the habit, and by doing that, you have to just keep repeating it. And that's why, like, practice, man. Like, you don't practice 3 hours a week on a Friday. You practice once a day for 5 minutes. That's 10 times more effective than practicing 3 hours a week on a Friday. So having it like a daily thing helps a lot as well. Also, another thing, like if you guys have any habits that you're forming right now, like any diet changes, any, I don't know, you're learning an instrument, you're starting to drink more water like I am, you're starting to meditate like I am, or whatever, like if you guys have any habits, let us know in the comments. I'm kind of curious what you guys are up to. But knowledge plus action equals try stuff. That's what I wrote down. I love the quote by Buddha that who was talking about it? Wayne Dyer was mentioning it. And basically, Buddha just says, like, don't believe what anybody else says. Try things for yourself. And if it aligns with your beliefs and if it helps you in your life, then you believe in it. And I heard Anthony Cheem mention that too. I could tell Anthony Cheem's like a huge Wayne Dyer fan as well. But that's basically what I mean by try stuff, by becoming a test subject. Because a lot of people, like me, I used to love this. I used to sit down and watch this guy go through a 7-day fast, right? And I would sit down in my comfortable chair and watch him get his results. And I would see day 4, oh, he's feeling really good. He's detoxing. He's doing all these things. No way. That's awesome. Like, I would sit down and watch somebody else get their results. Like you're overweight and you're watching The Biggest Loser. Like, you have to try things. Stop watching other people change their lives, man. Try it for yourself. And if it works, stick with it. If it doesn't, then don't.
Yeah, man, you really have to just try it and see what works for you, because it might not work for you. Like, that's the thing, is it just might not. But at least give yourself a good chunk of time that says, okay, I'm going to try it for this long, a week, 2 weeks, 30 days, a year. And like, if it doesn't work, then it won't work. But at least, we're talking about trying things. We're talking about experimenting. We're talking about, just doing different things. But there's also has to be a level of commitment there where you're absolutely committed to actually doing that thing. Because what happens when, that I know people who, and I've fallen in this trap myself. I'm not pointing any fingers, man, where I'm just like, I'm trying all these different things. I'm dabbling in this area. I'm dabbling in music. I'm dabbling in writing. I'm dabbling in, art. I'm dabbling here, dabbling there. If you're just going to become a dabbler, you're not going to get anywhere in life. So be careful, because there's a balance here. When you're trying new things, at least, set up a system where it's like, okay, I'm going to commit to this for a week. And for the next week, I'm going to see how that goes and see how that happens for my life. And then figure that out for yourself, because it's going to be different for everybody. And you want to make sure that you're actually committing to something and you're not just dabbling in a bunch of different things, because the dabbler doesn't get anywhere. It's the master who actually gets somewhere. So dabble for a little bit until you figure out what it is you really, really like to do. And then go all in on that, man. Commit to that. Become a master in that area and practice that every single day consistently.
Absolutely, man. And there's one thing that the Miracle Morning did not include. And I just saw this in a video just recently, and it blew my mind, and I totally can relate. And it's like your comfort zone. I mean, they obviously touch on a little bit, but they talk about it like this, like building a habit. I guess this is more than just becoming a test subject. This is for the advanced people as well. Those intermediate habit builders, the people who are already like months into their stuff, and they're building habits every single month. Basically, first 10 days are easy or something like that. No, sorry. First 10 days are unbearable, right? And then the next 10 days, you're on day 20. The next 10 days are like they're okay. Like you're not that comfortable with it, but like you can deal, right? And then the last 10 days, you're on day 20 to 30, is like the unbearable. The unstoppable phase. It's where you become this habit. Like, this is you. I would argue, man, no offense to Hal Elrod, I love his book, but I would argue it's the complete opposite. You go from, I'm so excited, this is me, all right, this is how I am. I'll explain other personalities, but the way I act is I act now, I jump into something, and then I start to lose it a little bit afterwards. So this is what happens, man. I jump into a habit. First 10 days, they're not unbearable. They are unstoppable. I love the first 10 days because that's when I first try something new. That's when things change. That's when like I'm experiencing new stuff. Second 10 days, they're a little bit more uncomfortable than the first 10. It's like you go down a little bit for some reason. The last 10 days, this is the phase where my brain starts to say, hey, go back to where you usually live. Like, what are you doing here? Like, we need to change this. And my brain kind of kicks in this like defense mechanism saying like, yo, go back to normal. Look, these last 20 days were cool and all, but you got to go back to your comfort zone the way you've been living for the last 16, 17 years, right? So I think that's what happens to me. Brennan, I'd like to hear your experience, but that's what happens to me. I start a habit. It's awesome for the first 10 days. The next 10 days are like getting a little bit uncomfortable. And the last 10 days, my brain is just fighting against me, telling me to stop doing this and to start going back to normal. And that's basically what happens to me. The guy in the video was talking about how like your brain literally has a defense mechanism trying to stay in the comfort zone for safety reasons, right?
There's so many different studies and theories and topics and philosophy, whatever you want to call it, on what it takes to actually build a habit. Like, we just got a comment here from Tara who says, doesn't it take 66 days to make a habit stick? And that could be true for one person, but it might be something completely different for somebody else. Some people have said it takes 21 days to build a habit. Some people say it takes 30. Some people say it takes 100. Some people say it takes a year. But I would argue like it's totally different for everybody. It really is. And it's so subjective. But I completely relate to what you're saying, man. It's like the first few days are awesome. You're starting something new. It's new and exciting, and it's really great, right? And then it starts to become a little bit uncomfortable, and it's like, okay, well, yeah, it was cool at first, but now it's like, now that the novelty's worn off, it's kind of getting boring, or it's kind of starting to take a little bit more effort. And then the last 30 days, it's like, man, is this really, like, is this worth it? Like, is this going to be worth my time? Like, I'm not really feeling all that great about it. And so I think in terms of building a habit, man, if you really want to build a habit, you need to like really remember why you're doing it in the first place. You need to remember that every single day, because what happens is you get really excited on day one, and you know why you're doing this. You have all the motivation in the world because it's day one. Like, you're just pumped about it. You're trying something new. It's awesome. And then day two goes by, you're still riding the excitement from day one. Day 3, day 4, day 5, you're still kind of riding the excitement from day one. But after a while, that excitement, that picture you painted initially in your head is now gone. Like, it's a week has gone by, 2 weeks have gone by. And so that motivation, that novelty, that feeling you had on day one is disappeared. It's gone. And so I think if you could keep that vision, keep that feeling of motivation, of like why I'm doing this in your mind on a day-to-day basis, that's how you build a habit. There's no timeline on it, because you know what? We're talking about building a habit, guys. A habit doesn't last 21 days. A habit doesn't last 30 days. A habit lasts your whole entire life. Like, that's why we call it a damn habit, right? And so I always find it interesting when they talk about building a habit and how it takes a certain amount of days. Okay, what? It takes 60 days. What are you going to do after 60 days? You just going to stop? You're going to try something new after 60 days? No, it's a habit now. So who cares how long it takes? You should be thinking about the day to day, right? Because if you're thinking about, okay, I can't wait for day 100, the last day of my habit, and then, one day 100 comes around and finally it's a habit. Now what? Like, now what? You gotta think of it in terms of like, this is who I am. This is what I do every single day. And that's what's going to change you. Not, okay, I'm going to do this for so long, and then after that, it'll become a habit. It'll become easier. There's a saying, it's like, if you're trying to quit cigarettes and you're counting the days, it's only a matter of time before you start smoking cigarettes again, right? If you're trying to exercise and you're counting the days, it's only a matter of time before you stop exercising. So I would say, don't worry so much about the days. Like, if you're performing an experiment, and the experiment is, I'm going to do this for 30 days and it's my experiment, and I'm going to see if it works. I'm going to see if it builds a habit. Perfect. Cool. Try that. That's amazing. But if you're trying to build a habit that you want to do for the rest of your life, and you want it to become you want it to become part of who you are and part of your ritual, part of your life, forget about the days of how long it's going to take. You need to just do it every single day and not even think about it, man. Because the more you think about it, the more it takes up your brain power, more it takes up your energy, and then you're just screwed, man. So like, just do it. Like, think about this moment today, right here, right now, and forget about the rest of it, because you're going to lose it. Like, you're just going to lose it, man.
For sure, man. I couldn't agree more. Another thing is, I want to talk about bad habits real quick, because you mentioned smoking cigarettes, and I watched this TED Talk. I forget who it was, but I think he owns something like I don't know, like a rehab something for cigarette smokers, and it just helps people quit cigarettes. And apparently, one of the people who were smoking, like, basically they did the opposite of what most people do. They told their patients to stop, or to keep smoking. Like, they told them to smoke. Like, we want you to smoke. But there's one condition. We want you to be mindful when you smoke. We want you to be 100% in the present moment. How do you feel? How does it taste? Like, what are you doing with your hands? Like, how are you breathing? Or like, how do you feel in your head? Like, what's going on when you smoke? And some of the people, there was a quote, like one of their smokers said, like, it feels disgusting. Cigarettes taste like dirty, rotten cheese, and they're nasty, and I feel gross. So you went from, oh, this is a relief, I got some nicotine, I feel so much better, to cigarettes are disgusting, right? And that goes with so many habits. How do you feel after you're done whatever milkshake, fracca mocha latte you just drank? Like, how do you feel after that? 45 minutes, set the clock. How do I feel after this heavy junk meal? After this box of cookies, how do I feel? Like, eat it before something important too. Try this. Like, eat a huge box of cookies because you got a sweet tooth or whatever. Eat this box of Oreos right before a business meeting, or 45 minutes before a test, or something along those lines, and you'll notice how you feel, and be 100% in the present moment how you feel. And that goes with like most bad habits, is just realize how you feel when you're doing this, how you feel when you're smoking cigarettes, how you feel when you're actually drinking alcohol. Like when you take a shot of whiskey, how does your throat feel? Feels good, doesn't it? Yum. That poison in your throat, like that 40% alcohol that kills everything it touches, all going down your throat. How does that feel? No, you like the feeling of it afterwards. You don't like the actual thing of it happening, right? And then notice how does your hangover feel, you know? Be completely in the present moment during your hangover. Do stuff like that, because with every bad habit, they're called bad habits for a reason. It's not good. There's something bad involved. So what we want you to do is basically be in the present moment and be extremely in this awful place, like a hangover or tasting the cigarette in your mouth or anything like that.
Yeah, man, that's so many people forget about that. Like I forgot about that, man. I was like big drinker for a long time. And one of the things that made me quit was like me realizing how it made me feel. Me realizing like the decisions I was making while I was drunk. Like me realizing like the energy levels that I feel, like the hangover, dude. That was one of the biggest reasons I quit drinking, was because like I can't afford to be hungover. I got shit to do. Like I got a life to live, man. You think I'm just gonna get wasted one night and then the next day I'm just gonna like like the rest of my day is just over. It's just gone. I'm just gonna lay in bed all day and watch TV. Like I can't afford that. That's ridiculous. And so realizing what kind of effect does this actually have on your life? And so many people, me included, again, I'm not pointing fingers. I never point fingers at anything I speak of. I'm really coming from a point of I've experienced this and like this is how I feel. And, you know, just taking inventory of what makes you feel what. How are your energy levels after you eat this food, or after you drink this drink, or after you perform this meditation or this workout or this exercise? And yeah, dude, it'll help you realize like what's serving you and what's not serving you. Like what's making you feel good and what's making you feel like shit. And you kind of need to go back and forth, and you got to figure out, experiment, man. Be the test subject.
Absolutely. And I want these listeners of the Leading Life podcast. I want you guys to, like I said, eat a box of cookies before a business meeting or something important, before a test, before going for a run or whatever, and notice how you feel 45 minutes after that. Do the same thing, but like, because eating the box of cookies in the moment, it feels good. That's why I want you to think about how it feels afterwards. I don't want you to think about how it feels in the moment, because it feels great, right? And it's the complete opposite with exercise. At the beginning, you don't like pushing these weights. Like it's like, oh, I don't like doing this. I'm out of my comfort zone. I'm sweating. I'm using up energy. Like I said, Brennan, at the beginning. And so at the beginning of working out, you're not feeling too good. I want you to tell me how you feel a few days after your workout. You know, if you're all sore and stuff, you don't like, nobody likes being sore. But like a few days after your workout, you're gonna feel stronger. You know, within 10 minutes of your run, you're going to feel energy, like straight up raw runner's high energy. And I want you to think about that. Like when you're eating these vegetables, maybe vegetables aren't as delicious as a box of Oreos, but time it 45 minutes after these vegetables. How are your energy levels? You know, 30 days later, how is your skin? You know, like you're going to look, you're going to feel better. Just focus, like just drown in these positive emotions that you get from healthy eating, working out, quitting smoking, all these things.
Yeah, dude, it's so true, man. You got to figure out what works best for you, dude.
Yeah, okay, so we're at the 37-minute mark. I wasn't expecting to actually get to this point with this episode, so we're going to end it. Brennan, do you have any last words here?
Man, really, I just want to say it was a fun topic to talk about today. This is something that I think the past 2 or 3 years of my life I've been really taking seriously. Is just testing new things, testing new theories, testing new belief systems, like believing things differently, thinking about things differently, trying things differently, all these different things. So like I think it's a great topic in terms of test subject. Be a test subject and test the things that work out best for you. And also, I just want to say thank you to all the listeners. Like I love, my favorite episodes are the episodes where people are super active in the comments. Like we got Danger R. Joseph, Amanda Dodd Delinger, who else we got in here? Rachel Johnson, Tara, ASIC, like Implicit Empowerment, all these people in the comments, Andrea, Sanat, like, dude, this is why we do what we do. It's just because, yes, Cam, please put the heart up on the screen. I love it. Like we're here to have a conversation with you guys. We're not here to just talk to ourselves. We're not here to just like put up videos on the internet for nobody to see. We're here because we're building a community. We're engaging with people. We're learning from you guys just as much as you guys could be learning from us. So that's why I think it's so important to have that back and forth in the comment section, rather than us just blasting you with all sorts of like things that's going on in our minds. Instead, like, you know, give us your opinions. Let's debate, man. You disagree? I'd love to have a talk about that, because maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you have something to teach me. And that's another thing, just being open to learn, being open to all these things. Yeah, I love it, dude. Thank you. I love you. Peace.
All right, I'm running the intro. Give me a second here. And we're rolling the intro. Okay, so like Brennan said, thanks again for tuning in. If you guys enjoyed the episode, like it, share it. Like, that's so important. You're already commenting, so you've done 1 out of 3 things, 1 out of 4 things. I want you to go to iTunes and give us a review, an honest review, whatever. If you think it sucked, one star, go for it. But yeah, just give us a real review on iTunes and subscribe to the show. That will help us reach more people. It helps us with more than you know. So we will see you guys tomorrow on Tuesday. And yeah, Brennan, last word.
5 p.m. Eastern, yo. Be there, because I'll be there. Cam will be there, probably.